That was always fun. What, for when he explodes? I think that's a very good thing, that it was on a timer. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it still lets procced through situational things, such as damage dealt and other things. Like for starting the timer, he goes into rage mode for it. It's just part of his gimmick. He was one of the only ones that I could solo at max difficulty. Yeah, he was pretty good. Mainly just because it's so Rathalos. Yeah.
Hey, Leo, I know you're big on, this. I'm currently fighting in Sword Art something called Fafnir.
That's why you should main Soul. Anyway. He has a Fafnir.
So, it is yes and no. Like, they've explicitly stated, they're like, oh, this game that we play has, because it's Sword Art, so it's literally the most meta game you'll ever play, because it's a game about playing a game.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh yeah, they're taking a lot of the naming conventions and lore from Norse, and there was one other, but a lot of it's Norse. But yeah, it's just a massive dragon.
Where's Gunnar? Or Trisha?
It's a dragon. It is a boss creature for a floor that they're like, hey, its name is Fafnir, and it's a dragon.
Yeah, it's still cool. Well, it is Sword Art Online, though, so... By that I mean, it was a kind of generic anime. It was fun.
But yeah, I've got the stream up right now.
If you want to check out the fight. There was a... Oh, what was that game called? I don't remember if it...
Why is what? They might just be saving it for later.
It's true.
To be fair, Jormungandr was a big reveal. There's a lot of gods.
I was gonna say, they're always adding characters.
Yeah, I mean, and I get that.
Phototossers.
Well, and again, they have a tendency to have, like, all right, we're gonna have some fillers, and then we're gonna have our main reveal for the. So they're doing themselves favors. They're not throwing in all their big names in at once.
Exactly. Oh. Are there some already? Yes, they are. You can find them.
I think my only real issue with that is they took, like, King of the Yokai, and they made him, like, the meme character.
Well, if it's based off of Capos, then...
I know.
I'm not a... Yeah. There we go.
Well, of course it'll happen at some point, because they started up that Pantheon. Yeah, I know, they still don't have any other voodoo. To be fair, the voodoo, the Polynesian, and the Slavic were all introduced in the same, like, basically 6-month period. So it was one of those, hey, we are going to come out with new Pantheons, and it was the first time that they'd done it in a long time. So it was them making a statement saying, this is us expanding our game, this is us, you know, saying that we're giving ourselves more to work with instead of what we were sticking with up until that point. So...
I mean, the game's always going to be expanded.
Exactly.
As long as it's going to have a player base for it.
Well, not necessarily. Because, so when before Poseidon was actually part of the whole thing, the Kraken actually used to be one of, like, way back in the day, the Kraken was a fire giant type creature on your map, and they ended up taking that Kraken, and that's one of the reasons why the Kraken, his ult is so high poly and so well done, is because they literally just took. No, it's super cool. But they took. Well, so imagine it from a gameplay perspective. Imagine. So take Fire Giant for example. It's become so synonymous with the game as, like, this is the game-changing mechanic. This is the creature that we have to go and fight. Imagine if, like, in Season 9 or whatever, they were like, okay, so Fire Giant is no longer on the field because you can now play as Fire Giant. What? Exactly. So if they actually took Fire Giant out because they were like, you know what? Boom, Surtur, done. Bam. And right. I actually I did a write-up of a possible Apophis. What was the actual name that I used? But, like, I made up an entire, like, kit for him and posted it to Reddit way back. Because I actually used the alternate name. Just because of the fact that Apophis was already in use. But yeah, man, I honestly love the gameplay of most of the Sword Art games. My issue is that almost every single one of the games, it's like the harem style anime, to where it's like all of the girls are like, we love the main character, and you're like, kill me now.
Yeah, there was a game that I got like that by accident. I didn't realize that was going to be a part of it, and I was like, this is just strange.
And it's so terrible because everything else about the games, as far as, like, the themes, the gameplay, the magic, the sword fighting, I'm like, this is fantastic. And then you go back into the dialogue and you're like, I want to die.
Right, exactly. I completely understand.
And this one's fantastic too, because it's, so Sword Art Online Season 2, dependent on, it's similar to JoJo in the fact that dependent on if you consider, it's like, you know, it's Season 1 and 2 are technically in the first area, and then Season 3 is technically like Part 2. Anyways, so I'm going to refer to it as Part 2. No, I know, I was referring to Sword Art.
Sword Art, yeah. Like, because it's like JoJo.
It's like JoJo in the fact that it's like parts and seasons are different things. So, like, your Part 2 was Alfheim, which is the second game that they had, and, like, all of your player characters this is going to sound weird, but all your player characters were based off races of fairy.
Mm-hmm.
But all that really means is all your characters have wings. So everybody can fly in the game.
Okay.
So this particular Sword Art game is based off of that. So the combat is specifically meant that you can just out of nowhere jump up into the air and start flying around the other enemies.
Yeah. I was actually surprised. I know, like, pretty much nothing about Sword Art. But I was surprised to see you just flying to fight Fafnir like that, just flying around.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. Here, I'm actually going to go to an area that actually has some place to... Like, let's see, where am I going? Oh, Valley of Sand.
Valley of Sand? Ooh.
And it's cool because the game is based around an MMO. So, like,
yeah.
You'll have quote-unquote other players running around in the world, hiding things just randomly.
Yeah.
That you can run up and... Yeah. But, like, it's hysterical because there's NPCs that are NPCs, and then there's NPCs that are players.
Huh.
As in, like, they, in game world, that character that you're interacting with is actually another player. But it's actually the computer. But then there's also other characters that you're interacting with that are canonically NPCs.
Okay, yeah.
And it's, like I said, it's just like one of the most meta things I've ever played in my life, and it's super funny. Like, all your party members are obviously player characters.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm gonna finish fighting this thing, and then we'll fly. Oh, yeah.
Is that the Team Ninja one?
Yeah. The one that looks like it's Team Ninja. Is it actually Team Ninja?
I think it is actually Team Ninja.
I'm going to kill Chaos. It's like the most edgy thing you've ever heard in your life. Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna do something here in a second. It's actually really, really cool. So whenever you're flying, you have your hover mode, which is just this, to where you're technically just, you can go anywhere, you can stop, you can do whatever. You hit up on the D-pad, you go into like a flight mode, where you're constantly moving forward. If you're in flight mode, you can hold R1 to expend stamina to move forward at a quicker speed. And then if you're holding R1, you can hit X to move forward at like breakneck speeds. So, and then if you're in breakneck speed, you can actually hit your attack button.
Oh, okay.
Right, no, there's not a fourth speed. Yeah, you can go straight to plaid. No, but you can hit your attack button to basically like torpedo whatever's in front of you.
Okay.
So, boosting, breakneck, torpedo. Me? No. Let me rephrase. Yes, I have thought about it. I have also realized that I have spent quite a bit of money on DBZ, and outside of the work that I've put into training mode to do the combos, there's not a whole lot of the game that I've truthfully... Well, no, it's not even played. It's that I've truthfully been, like, excited to get into. It's more along the lines of, well, this is what we're playing right now, and I guess I can put some time into it.
Yeah.
But like as far as an actual excitement of getting on and doing stuff, it's more like, well, I guess I got to do some homework. And that's really what it felt like. I just don't, for the most part, enjoy fighting games specifically. I enjoy the time spent with you guys like playing it.
Yeah.
But being as I am not as passionate about learning the characters and whatever else, it always feels a little empty.
I get it, I think.
So, I know you do. I was just kind of explaining more so to Leo as to, yes, absolutely. Did I think about picking it up? Have I seen it on sale and gone, you know, maybe. But at the same time, I also kind of go, it's still a fighting game at the end of the day.
I just wish I could be told where to go, which I know sounds like such a cop-out, but I get lost so easily that I just couldn't care less.
You just not play, do you not do Metroidvanias?
Not very often. I did Axiom Verge, which is surprising, because I really don't do a lot of it.
Yeah, that's like the epitome of, other than maybe Bloodstained, that's like the epitome of modern Metroidvania.
But it's like the only one that I really got into. I tried Hollow Knight, got 2 hours into it.
What?
I think there's a game called Bloodstained that's a Metroidvania. Yeah. Now, Hollow Knight, you just die and come back. As far as
But I love the meta nature of this, in the fact that like all your characters start at like the old level cap. So it's like your level 1 is actually level 100. And so it's just like it's funny because it's just little stuff like that. You're like, oh man, your skill, like your character skills start at like level 50 or whatever, and like if you wanted to like level a ability that character didn't have, it would actually start at like actual level 0. So it's just little stuff like that that really is just kind of like, that's funny. It's good storytelling. It's classic show don't tell. For example, there's one of the classic mainstays of the original Sword Art game was the fact that the characters were stuck in the game.
Yeah.
So one of the things that they did in the original Sword Art was that they actually, when you boot up the start menu, it showed you a quit, your log out button, but you literally can't push it. You actually have to go into like a secondary setting, like in the actual settings, before you can get to a thing that says like return to the start menu.
That's kind of funny.
Like it's completely unnecessary, but it's just staying true to the world building.
Yeah. That is cool. I know I mentioned it, but Dio in Jump Force can't fight any stages unless they're nighttime stages. Right. There's another character. I don't know what they're from. Naruto, One Piece.
Yeah, didn't you say that like they just can't damage females?
Female characters. I'm like, no, I know. I said from One Piece, but I'm saying now it might not be because I don't finish. And I'm probably wrong by saying this.
Yeah, I remember him saying that.
Yeah. It's a really interesting concept, but man, as a competitive game, that can be bad.
Right.
You can be counterpicked by them.
Man, so I I will say, the one thing I was kind of disappointed about was, like,
Yeah.
I was under the impression that your main character...
Eh,
Well, no, hold on. I was under the impression that your main character could, like, mirror any of the fighting styles.
yeah.
And at least at this point in the storyline, it looks like my character can only mirror one of 3.
Yeah, you know, I thought so too. I didn't get very far in the story, I just did a bunch of side quests over and over. Was doing all of those free missions or whatever. But, I was kind of disappointed from what I saw that you can't get anything besides the sword.
What do you mean?
Didn't... You, like, you have abilities and stuff, you can get any ability in the game, but you're always stuck using the sword.
Oh, you mean because you picked the
Or
sword?
your action, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I picked the, like, martial arts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I could just pick a character.
Well, right, but even so, you only have 3 choices to choose from.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. It's a really jank game, but man, playing it with, like, locally with friends, it's pretty fun.
It's probably not bad online either.
Probably not. But it's a very casual
speed
fight.
and/or lack thereof of the combat probably lends itself pretty well to online play as well.
Yeah, I would think so. What is it? There's one character, Aizen. I think that's Bleach, yeah, from Bleach. See, I don't watch any of the anime besides I watch Dragon Ball, but he has a move that will actually just one-shot you anywhere on screen. But it has like a 45-second wind-up beforehand. It could be interrupted. 30-second, 45... It's something around like 30 seconds, something like that. I don't know. But it just one-shots you anywhere on screen. No, because it's one of his main abilities. Okay. And you can combo into it if you really try hard. But you have to really try. If you think that it's strong, it's not, because that would be destroying the game if it were, and it has never been touched. So, yeah, you can combo with, like, JoJo and stuff, because their punch attacks are, their punch specials are pretty long. It's still almost impossible to do. It's just a funny move, based on the anime. I think he draws like a black box or something.
One of my favorite concepts in any video game like that, where you just go, wow, that's really stupid.
Yeah.
But it's true to the universe, is the One Punch Man fighting game.
Yes. Where he takes, like, what is it, however long to arrive.
Yeah, it's where you, like, have to... He takes up 2 of your 3 character slots, and he can't be switched to for, like, a full minute and a half into the fight.
And then
But
as
as
soon
you
as he
can
does,
finally
he's
do, he insta-kills everybody.
Really just,
like,
interesting.
that's such a terrible concept for a video game, but it's, at the same time, I'm like, I'm so happy that you did that.
Right.
Like, literally anything else that you would have done, they'd been like, why would you put him in the game? And,
Exactly.
like,
If they had...
well, and that's the thing, like, if they didn't have him one shot, you'd be like, man, that's
He's
not
not
accurate, but how on earth did you make it where you could?
Right.
It's like how they found a way to make a character that one-shots everybody and still make them bad.
Yeah. Which is pretty impressive.
But yeah, like, the enemies in this game, they respawn like enemies in MMOs. So, like, you'll just be like 10 or 15 minutes into combat and you'll be like, wait, what am I doing? I need to go and do other things. I need to leave this area.
Never got big into SAO.
Again, neither did I, but the gameplay of these games is actually super fun.
Yeah. You are dead. What a message. Oh, wait, can they revive you?
Yeah, I'm hoping they do. It'd be nice.
I thought they said they were heading over to you. I like it. I like the radar. It's cool. Lilith? Oh. Lilith is just... I don't like her. What happens all the time if you go down? Like, if she's in the arena, she's bound to kill at least 1 second win. I don't know. I think she was fine for most of the game in Borderlands 2 at least, until... Well, I think she was fine for most of the game in Borderlands 2. It's what they did with the character.
Hey, they actually revived me. How about that?
Oh, it took them a while, huh?
Oh, frickin' heck, the dragon's here. No,
But I guess she did almost kill Jack.
Or she does kill Jack if you let her.
Well, yeah, in 2, but I'm not gonna... Yeah, that's really dumb. Yeah, I don't really understand that. That was really weird. But again, that wasn't writing from the main Gearbox team still, which... It was 2K Australia, or... Yeah, 2K Australia did that game. Not just 2K. I don't really know, but... I have no clue. But I mean, the whole game feels different from until 3 came out. From what Borderlands really was, I thought, at least. And I think that partially could be attributed to 2K Australia's control over it. But
yeah,
I don't
it's like
know.
saying Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Just...
So
Yeah, still,
Iwazaki oversaw Scholar. I agree, but
DLC was better
that
than
is
the original.
not the general consensus.
Yeah.
I know.
I like the DLC in the original just because you didn't have to go out of your way to get the DLC keys. Nice.
What do you mean you don't have to go out of your way? You literally log in and they're like, here you go.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Exactly. In the original, they appear in your inventory. So
Yeah, they were
you start
DLC items.
It's so much better, and it makes more sense to integrate them. No, not at all.
No, it was literally like you purchased it, and if you like had the DLC purchase, like the first time you logged in, it'd be like, you have these in your inventory.
Yep.
Same with
Which
the,
I actually love.
yeah, same with the. Go ahead.
It's really jank.
What
It's
is it?
cool. The Dark Souls 1 DLC getting
No,
into
so
it.
here's, believe me, when it first came out, everyone was like,
Oh
what?
yeah.
It's like, well, no, it was like the first day it was out. I can't remember who actually put it out, but it was literally like, all right, just so you know, yes, you just bought DLC. You will have to be here. It's like they, whether or not it was Epic Name Bro or whatever else who was doing it, they literally had like an announcement of saying this is how you get to access it. It was like an official announcement, but it was like, hey, it's gonna seem really arbitrary, and everyone's like, you're right, it does.
Yeah. I think it's cool in concept. In concept, at least, but...
What the crap? Why?
On repeat
Why is that thing
adventures.
level 500?
Why aren't you? Oh. I assume that thing there.
I was just like, oh, maybe I can fight it right now if I'm... Nope.
Two levels isn't too bad. But...
Six. 6 levels. Yeah, it was like 6 levels.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I think at 3 levels difference it showed the skull, and then beyond that...
I don't think it was 3.
I don't remember, honestly.
It was at least 4 levels. At least 4 levels that you were still... You could still fight them.
Yeah, oh yeah, you can still fight them if they have the skull, I think.
No, I just meant still fight them, like, legitimately.
I actually don't. So, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think this... I'm pretty certain that the skull wasn't until it was, like, 4 or even 5 levels higher.
I'll look. Well, unless you're playing OP levels as well. Those are meant to be super high level ones. Yeah.
I never delved into OP levels. Ever.
In which one? 2?
Oh my gosh. 2 was...
It's a grind to hit the max level, but...
For an adult... yeah. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah.
Even trying to level up, it was just like, oh, no, you only have to put in, like, 5 full playthroughs of gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if you weren't doing all of your side quests each time, you'd be, like, extremely under-leveled by the time you got to, like, a specific boss. Ugh.
The bunker.
Oh, yeah.
But now, I mean, even now they've upped the level cap to 80 in 2, and that's just 10 more levels. I actually can't find out what okay.
Excellent. Polnareff is just a very ridiculous character.
You know, as much as I love Borderlands 2, man, do I hate 100%ing that game. Every side quest is just such a pain. Especially in Borderlands 2.
I don't know. I didn't mind it as much.
Really? In Borderlands 2?
I thought... the only area that I really cared about, like, I can't believe I have to do these side quests, were the Hammerlock DLC in Borderlands 2.
I can understand that. I can really understand that.
Especially the egg one. You're just like, really?
Oh, I actually did that one co-op.
And that's really unfortunate because you're missing out on a really, really nice weapon.
It's a sniper rifle though, so...
I love that sniper.
I love that sniper rifle so much.
So, here's the thing, it's an iron sights sniper rifle.
Yeah. It's just wonderful.
It's a really fun, high damage, like, so long as you're not trying to compare it to
actual
like the
end-game.
Liuda or anything along those lines.
It'll get you both.
What? Oh my gosh. Star has a bad tendency of being like, oh, you're like half a level into the game, let me introduce you to the most broken thing in the game so that you now hate everything in the world.
He wants to be... He especially in Borderlands 2, he goes for meta.
I mean, there's a reason they got along.
Yeah. I love Borderlands 2.
I enjoy it to an extent, but
I think I just love the weapon parts. I love the weapon part system in that game. It's wonderful.
And it's fantastic, but don't let it eat your joy.
Right.
Like, and that's what Star would do.
Oh.
He'd get to a place where it's like, oh, well, you got this, but, and I understand that you're excited about it, but it's worthless because you didn't get this part.
What I find funny, though, about that is, he really does care about parts, and then in Borderlands 3, the legendary drop system is one he doesn't enjoy, which kind of surprises me because... And I'm not a big fan of the Legend.
How dare I not have to farm for 3 hours before I get a single drop?
That's what I'm surprised about, but...
Because he wants to be part of the elite. He wants to be part of the... I want to have put 400 hours into getting this weapon.
To get it. Show that you're dedicated to getting it. Instead of... It is. But some people enjoy that. Which is fine. You see, I actually also prefer the Borderlands 2 drops. But... I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's just... Maybe I just don't enjoy Borderlands 3. Well, I know I don't enjoy Borderlands 3. It's really what it is. But, it is a different feeling when you see 10 legendaries drop from one boss.
And
But for late game, it's nice. Oh. He did it with what? Oh, okay.
Is what?
Terraria.
No.
I assume it just
I
hits
literally played the one playthrough that I got rushed through the entire freaking game in 20 minutes.
It was 20. Well, I assume it was more than that, literally, but it was a fast playthrough.
No, it really definitely felt like that, because we were fighting the final boss in quite literally 30 or 45 minutes.
The Wall of Flesh, or was it the moon guy?
I don't remember. It was like the first major boss that we were taking
the one that
on.
actually puts you in the hard mode. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't even know.
Either way, literally every
does.
memory that I have of Terraria is negative.
That's so sad.
I'm sure it has potential. Again, you have nothing to apologize about.
I enjoyed what I
would start up. I was immediately given an arbitrary rule I had to follow. They're like, no, you're playing this type of character. And I was like, I have never played this game in my life. They're like, well, you're doing this because we're doing a challenge playthrough. I was like, alright, whatever, that's fine. And then they're like, oh hey, I just found the weapon that'll carry you through the rest of the game. I understand you're in the middle of trying to build your first house, but here you go.
Yeah, that would be pretty.
I was just like, wow, this is quite literally the most miserable experience I think I've ever had playing a video game.
Right. I was playing State of Decay 2 recently. It's actually a pretty fun game on Game Pass, by the way. But when I started it up, I had a friend with me, and he was like, "You just need to go do this before you go out and adventure. Go climb that tower so you can go mark everything." I'm like, "I'll figure it out. I've played a game before." That's what I told him.
Yeah.
It's like, it'll be okay.
The issue was,
I get that you're excited.
like, they just kept dropping me gear. I was like, can I play the video game, please?
Yeah, you're not gonna. You're not experiencing
And, like,
the game.
he was-
You're just being
No,
dragged.
I didn't get to experience, frankly, a damn thing in that game.
Yeah, I get it. Because even I haven't done Wall of Flash. I don't have a lot of time in the game. 10 hours. Something like that.
No, we were quite literally like 30 minutes into the game, and they were just like, well, here we are.
Right, so.
Love you too. No, but legitimately though, rant over. It was a bad experience, but it's not something that.
It's already happened, so.
Yeah, it's happened. It's over. Yes, I had a otherwise possibly wonderful game completely ruined for me.
Yeah.
But you know, it is
Just play
what it is.
Minecraft.
I enjoy Minecraft.
I love Minecraft. It's fun. Minecraft is great. I know. That's why I said it, by the way. It's because I knew it would. Oh, yeah. Minecraft is
Why?
great.
What happened?
He hates when people call Terraria 2D Minecraft, which I didn't outright say, but I did see it play out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They both are definitely made from the same genre.
Yes, but they play very different.
Absolutely.
Did it? That's,
That
you can't
still
say.
doesn't
Yeah.
mean that they're not the same genre. That's a terrible argument.
You couldn't even say that it's taking from Terraria even then, because at that point they'd still be in development at the same time.
Exactly.
Very closely.
So, I mean, yeah, if we were saying it's a copy, I would understand why you'd be upset.
Yeah.
But we weren't. We were just saying they're the same genre.
Yeah.
You're just deciding to take offense at a comment just for the fact of taking offense at it.
Anyway.
I'm sorry. I love taking the wind out of people's sails when they get offended about something. I'm like, no, this is why you shouldn't be offended about this.
You're free to be offended if you want. But isn't Minecraft based off of a different game, though?
Oh,
Like, actually, it
because
was
of all the work that you put into developing the game?
No, but
No, you said it, and it generally pisses me off, and I said because of all the work that you put into developing the game?
what? There was a.
Like, there's literally no reason that that should offend you as a person.
That's fine.
Literally pisses you off. I believe those were your exact words.
Yeah, that's the same. It's frustrating.
Yeah,
It's all good.
I know. Like I said, it shouldn't, but when people get outraged at, like, very, very, I'll use the word, because they're not stupid things, they're just very, I have a word that I'm trying to come up with. Yes, petty, thank you. They're just, when people get outraged over petty things, that literally the biggest issue, or the biggest reaction that you should have to something like that is kind of like, oh, I guess that's a thing, and people are like, this is literally the worst thing since Hitler. You're like, that's basically what it sounds like to me, by the way. Like, okay, so somebody thinks it's similar to another game. Great.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, you have to understand, like, you are allowed to be offended. I'm just...
He's pushing it.
I am 100% just playing devil's advocate. That is all I am doing. You are allowed to care. You are allowed to have your opinion. I'm not I'm not going to be upset with you. I enjoy having these conversations because it's one thing for you to say, "Oh, this ticks me off. This irritates me." Okay, why? That's literally the only conversation that I'm really having is, walk me through the process. Are you just having these thoughts because you decided that that's how you feel, or is there legitimate things behind it? People are allowed to have opinions. People are allowed to carry strong opinions about things. And that it doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so people are idiots? And you're upset about that?
There you go.
No, I get it. I get it completely. But for then you to I guess, we need to make sure that we're being careful not to attribute emotions that we've tied to past conversations to legitimate conversations that might happen now, because that's how people have these knee-jerk reactions that end in people going, why the heck did that happen? Because I'd love to have conversations, but if it's going to be like, oh, that ticks me off when that's not what I was saying at all, but okay. No. Again, it's... you... Huh. I'm aware. And I'm hearing the gears break in his mind, trying not to apologize for saying sorry. No, it's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm apologizing too much. Excuse me? What? No, it's not even that. It's just saying, hey, you don't have to apologize for that. Oh, okay. I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong.
I used to be like that.
Fair enough.
More like that, where I used to apologize all the time. I don't remember when that changed. Now I just don't. Not that I don't ever apologize, but I guess I have a better understanding of... not even necessarily a better understanding of when to say it, but it's just a habit, really, I guess, that I broke. Where my knee-jerk reaction would be to apologize,
and it's one thing to, because I know certain people who they assume they did something wrong and they'll apologize.
Yeah.
Without actually knowing what they're apologizing
knowing why they're apologizing.
That's, to me, more frustrating than someone who refuses to apologize.
Yeah.
Only because it's like, look, you're taking a...
It's just insincere at that point.
It is insincere, but at the same time, it's... Yeah, I think that is the frustration, is the insincerity of it.
Yeah. They're doing it to try to get out of... without knowing if anything's wrong, what's wrong.
Exactly. Whereas, if someone were to say, oh, my apologies, I didn't realize I did that, I will stop doing that. That's...
Yeah.
Recognizing the quote-unquote issue. Most of the time it's not an issue, but... like, exactly. For example, I apologize that I'm overanalyzing this entire conversation.
Hey, I'm enjoying it. It's a weird one. I don't have this kind of conversation much.
I got a buddy that he teaches at a school, and he was going over, like, in literary, the various definitions or examples of characters who played the Devil's Advocate, and he legitimately called me up in the middle of class, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to do this for me," and I was like, "Let's go."
Let's do it.
Because he knew that I was going to be able to jump on that train and just go with it as far as we want, and we had the class just laughing because yeah, it was so fun.
You dead? Oh my goodness. This entire time I've needed to turn down my music volume, but I'm in the middle of the boss fight.
Speaking of music volume, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
さすが聞いてた以上の達人っぷりね。でももう少し様子を見させてもらおうっと。
Yeah.
I apologize for laughing at that. I had a friend in middle school who, like, refused to do almost everything, and his reasoning behind it would be, "Oh, I had a bad experience with that." Literally every time. And so, like, we'd be like, I'd be, like, so bad, like, I'd be talking to my mom, and she's like, "Oh, are you guys gonna go and do that?" We're like, "Oh, Drew didn't want to," and she'd be like, "Oh, did he have a bad experience?"
Jeez. Yeesh.
Like, my mom, who is one of the sweetest ladies I know, and she was, like, she was getting fed up with it.
Yeah.
Anyways, please continue. Yeah.
Hey, I understand.
Yeah.
That's an issue, unfortunately. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, I'm sure I would have had a similar time had I not been pulled out regular school in like 5th grade, and we went into homeschooling until I think we came back to school when I was a sophomore in high school. So my last 3 years of high school, I got the normal quote-unquote school experience.
Yeah.
But during the formative years, per se, I was kept out of it.
Yeah, yeah. I remember not having a great time in middle school, and I was bullied in elementary school, but I barely remember elementary school, you kidding me?
Right.
But I remember, funny enough, one of the first things I did in high school was join the, it's called STARS, I think, at the time. I assume it's still called that. Maybe it's just a regional thing. But it was all about anti-bullying and stuff, which was... It actually helped me get out of my shell a lot and then really learn and help grow, you know? Or that was nice. But again, experience aren't the same for everybody. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, like you pass a class or ace the... Yeah, yeah. Yeah. There's something stopping you from completing it. Oh, I just got shot off the... I did not.
Have what?
I don't think I did. Oh, book fair! Oh, I thought you said book cares. I'm like, what are you talking about? Take care of a book? Yeah, we had book fairs.
Yeah, adopt a book.
I remember, because I had a nerd friend who said, you'd have to do tax on this, and it's 9% tax, so I'll get you the real price. I'm like, oh my god. But...
What?
Yeah, there was some kid that was obsessed. He was a really smart kid, but people made fun of him. But We hung out all the time, but
I mean, that's kind of how it was. Yeah, that was
exactly.
most of my friends too. It was like, well,
Being a nerd, so you get made fun of, but that's okay. It's all in fun, for the most part.
it's like it was all well and good until they needed help with their math homework, and then they were your best friend.
Exactly. No, I mean, yeah, you poke fun at people, but he clearly knew what he was doing. He was very... he did great, as far as I'm aware, outside of school. Anyway.
I was
Yeah.
one that no one that ever... There was like, even in high school, like, people attempted to tease about various things, and then
Yeah.
it just got old because I didn't care.
Hey, it works.
Right? Be like, alright, cool, that's nice. Imagine what that means to me. Like, okay, cool, I'm a nerd. I enjoy being a nerd.
Yeah. Some things you just gotta accept.
I never had like a group, but it was just
Yeah.
like whatever.
I get that.
So we had our senior retreat or whatever. They like had a bunch of people come to me. They're like, "Hey, I appreciate this about you," and I'm like, "Okay, where was this the last 8 years or whatever?"
Right.
Cool.
My
So
job.
like, I never like had any issues with anybody, but it was
Yeah.
like, okay, why are you telling me this now?
That was a lot how I ended up, but it was fun. High school was fun, at least. But then again, I don't know a lot of people that had a good middle school experience.
Right?
It's middle school, I mean... It's a weird time.
Quite.
Anyway, I completely cut you off, Leo. Book fair, yes. I'm not sure if you had a reason to that, or if you was... It's all good.
Dude, and this is one of my favorite sayings that I, because it's just so explains everything.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of tangents,
Speaking of tangents, it really just works anywhere.
yes,
No.
exactly. Speaking of tangents. Speaking of tangents, and you say that around anybody who has like any mild form of like attention deficit, and they're like, "Oh my gosh." But seriously, speaking of tangents, my dad and brothers and I, we had a game that we would play, like on car rides, or if like late at night and we're trying to get tired or whatever else.
Yeah,
And we called it Tangents. And what we would do is one person would just say a word, any word, and the next person would say a word that's directly related to that word, but try to do it in such a way, oh, it's super cool. So, but it would be like, you would want it to be as tangential a relationship as possible while still having the next person in line understand how you got there. Because it wasn't about making people go, what? It was about setting up the next person in a way that they weren't expecting, but for them to also go, oh, see how you got there.
yeah.
Yeah, we called it tangents, and so somebody'd be like, yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Yeah, you could say that. Because he'll want this, and then if you give him that, he'll want that. Yeah. I remember those.
But like so you have to take into consideration who's next in line. Okay, let's me do a callback to something that he and I used to do, or an experience that we shared.
Yeah.
But also do it in such a way that it's going to be quote-unquote obvious. And so then you'd have to like kind of set the other person up. You'd be like, all right, this is kind of a one-off. Be like, all right. Yeah, it was really cool. tangents.
Nice.
Right, yeah, and you kind of had to, again, it's much more a social experience than anything else, because the goal is not to confuse or confound, but rather to press the limit of the next person. Because, so 90% of the time you were making borderline obvious, but it was just to kind of get on that same wavelength.
Yeah. You know, I think that I only ever remember one science fair.
So because I was homeschooled from 5th grade up to my freshman year in high school, I literally not once ever was in a science fair.
See, I think I only ever did one, and it was, I think I just put dry ice in water, and I was like, look, it looks like stars.
That's really cool.
It was. Then I talked about dry ice being not so safe to touch, because it was a bunch of kids, so, I don't know. That's the only thing I ever remember from the science fair. I don't remember anybody else's. Yo, baking soda volcanoes are dope. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. But you know.
Yep, cherry batters were also cool.
Yep.
That's also another good one. Up there with the Planet Mobile. The mobile made of planets, so it's just like you...
Oh, yes. Okay. And that's what I thought you might have meant. Basically, you just build a solar system. Kind of.
Out of, like, styrofoam balls.
Styrofoam, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they call them mobiles, but...
I don't know why they're called that either, honestly, but...
Frankly, I think it's the only thing I've ever heard called that in that sense of the word.
Mm-hmm. Can't say I hear it often.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Didn't like what?
Well, Doom 2016.
I mean, to be fair, it's the most generic shooter, like, of all time. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
In a bad way, yeah. It's just, that is where it comes from. So, like, actually, it's...
Yeah. You have gun, you shoot these things. Alright, what's the storyline? No, that's it.
Gun, shoot, go. Which is not a bad thing. I get it, the lore. Yeah. Yeah, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't want to have to read external. Oh, I'm alive. Not for every game. I just didn't get far enough, but I didn't really. It didn't catch me at the start, so.
Yeah, like...
It kind of has to catch me at the start for me to keep playing it. Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting. You know, for the time that I put into it, I was just like, all right. But that was kind of the end of it. Like, oh, okay.
I can at least guarantee it's better than a lot of the cover shooters from the 360 era. But maybe I don't like cover shooters.
I am much
It
more
depends.
apt to like cover shooters, just because I am not a run and gunner. I am a methodical. Right,
Yeah.
I've never enjoyed the run and gun mentality.
You see, I don't enjoy it in 2016. I love Borderlands run and gun though. Man, that's so good. And as much as I might not enjoy Borderlands 3, the gameplay of things. Oh, you just have the shotgun, yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's a really good gun. Yeah.
I know in
That's
certain
a good
builds it was actually pretty high tier.
Yes, that gun or the modifier. Probably the gun.
The gun.
Yeah. Dude, with Zane, you just had like perfect accuracy with it still. It didn't even matter that it was a shotgun. Yeah. Oh, it's so... That's why you don't play Payday, right? No. You can snipe with shotguns in Payday. But it's only because of how shotgun pellets work. All pellets deal full damage, but they can only hit each enemy once, so... Crowd control.
Well, no. So here's the issue with that. In reality,
Yeah.
actual shotguns.
Well, actually, yeah, good point. They deal full damage per pellet.
Well, I was just gonna say actual
I'm sure you
shotguns are meant
Yeah.
because you are dispersing your damage over a large
Yeah.
area of effect, as opposed to using a bullet. It's not
Mhm.
about doing a lot of
Unless
damage
it's-
to a single thing. It's about
Yeah.
shotguns are, you know, at least in hunting,
Yeah.
there is a small target over there in that general direction, and
Yeah.
I need to be able to cover a large area. So yes, absolutely. If you're not using a shotgun as the gaming sense of a shotgun, it's absolutely supposed to be used as area of effect.
Yeah. And the thing to note about shotguns in Payday is they actually generally have pretty low damage compared to other guns if you're actually targeting single enemies. Granted, on lower anything below the Yes, because you're using them to shoot one enemy point blank. Yeah, and that doesn't do anything to them. It's very counterintuitive for a video game to do that, for sure. I will agree.
Yeah,
that,
they went with, hey, what if we use a shotgun for what a shotgun is supposed to be used for?
Which is funny that that's counterintuitive. It made me appreciate them as sidearms much more in that game. It's really good to have a single shotgun. They can just be used to catch groups of enemies and slow them down. Which is why you should play
Jacob's
games.
Sniper rifles.
They're just so clean. They're so clean.
Mm.
Even if they're... Oh, I love them.
Oh, so you said.
I don't know what it is. I'm always drawn to snipers. I don't know. Oh,
What
those
is
aren't
it?
snipers. Well, actually, yeah, he said bows.
Yeah, I mean that's more so like a. It's a high damage single shot scout rifle. Is what they basically are. Now, those are primary weapons, right?
Are they? You played? Yeah.
So,
I didn't do much PvP.
funny enough, the only time, literally, that I ever remember scout rifles being overpowered was the beta.
Oh. That's a while ago.
Like, for Destiny 1.
One's beta?
The beta.
Wow. The ultimate beta. See, I don't really remember scout rifles at all in that game. In terms of how strong they were. I like a good assault rifle.
Pulse rifles were always terrible. There was like 3 or 4 of them that were really good, and the rest were just bad.
What were pulse rifles?
Yep.
I don't remember those.
Battle rifles.
What was
there
it?
were 3 of them
Oh, you
first.
did battle rifle? Oh, those sucked. That sucked. That's
Yeah,
like
they
my
were
favorite.
terrible.
I love battle. It's like the only reason why I love Borderlands 1. Borderlands. Doll is all burst fire. In Borderlands 2. Borderlands 1, it's battle rifles and boom. Aim down sights, you get burst fire. It's wonderful. Actually, in Borderlands 2, it's pretty sad. Especially Borderlands 2 assault rifles just
Dude,
sucked. They were
Borderlands
trash.
1 assault rifles. Oh.
They were so good. Oh. Just get a white level 20 assault rifle could carry you to the end of the game.
Yeah,
It's just-
freaking Roland with assault rifles.
With assault rifles, my favorite setup. So?
It was so good.
It was.
The fact that you had your ammo regen tied to it, the fact that you had a shield on it. You know, imagine running gunning.
The horrible cover.
Well, and I get that, but here's the thing. Run and gun is now, you can turn a run and gun situation into a cover shooter situation anytime you want.
Yeah. That also buffs you in terms of health regen and, like, you can stand your ground. There we go. It's not very big, but it's better than no cover.
I mean, yeah, you can't just, like, run around and do whatever with it. You'd have to crouch behind it.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, it lets you stand your ground in a game where you can't always. Yeah, it's not great, but at least it can.
It was definitely not Axton.
Exactly.
You're
Axton
not
was
stepping into a bubble shield.
Yeah, right. A bubble shield that you can throw wherever you want.
And teleport it across the room.
It's stuck to the ceiling walls.
It was so amazing.
Axton's so fun. Plus, I like his character more than everybody else. He's very generic.
The nuke? Oh no, I was talking about the nuke.
Nuke is middle, or red, middle tree. The rocket tree, Scorched Earth, is actually down the green tree, which was a green capstone. Is that double turret, or is that double turrets on it? Okay. Probably. Yeah, because red does slag turret, green does throw two, blue does.
I loved double nuke.
I loved slag. Yeah, double nuke. It was not great, but it gave you a lot of crowd control.
Gosh dang it, was it fun though.
Oh yeah. I remember there was a playthrough I did, because you can start at level 30 now. I did a local playthrough with a friend where we both just picked Axton and did double nukes the entire way through. I like slag a lot.
That laugh
honestly.
was far more evil than I was wanting it to be.
A lot of people don't like slag, and I can understand why. It completely controls how you play the game.
Oh, it absolutely did. It was a great mechanic until you realized this is literally all we do.
Yeah. But I just really liked that gameplay loop for some reason. But,
I did too. I really enjoyed it.
yeah. But I can completely understand not. That it's it dictates so much of how you play, because if you don't have slag by the third playthrough, you can't really play the game. Like, Unlike in the other games. Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, oh yeah. Everybody wanting. What, French players? It was just a common stereotype because I don't know if it was the first game that released at the same time in France and in Europe, but man, there were a lot of bad French players that also used Insect Glaive. It was just a weird stereotype. Yeah, it actually did. I saw it quite a bit, but what I really saw...
Hold on.
Okay.
Oh my god, this freaking game. What the crap? So it is Sword Art. So I came back to town and I was like, oh look, this character has a side quest. And most of the side quests are literally just like dialogue that you sit through, and then you're like, oh, you got a title for this character. And you're like, okay, cool. Well, it's like this. One of the chicks goes to the other. She's like, hey, I just wanted to say thank you, so I made you a gift. She's like, oh, thank you so much. What is it? And she's like, oh, it's handmade underwear. And she's like, what?
Oh.
And so, but luckily, they're commenting on the fact that this is weird, and the one character is like, what are you talking about? And the other one's like, oh, I worked hard on the stitching. And then they look over to the player character, they're like, what are you staring at? And he's like, I'm just admiring the stitching. So it's, but it... just, what? Oh no, she said, I'm so happy you like it. Go ahead and try it on.
Oh boy.
Ah. Now, again, this is just dialogue, so it's...
Just dialogue, so it doesn't show, really.
Oh no! Oh no! Like this, it's so blatant. Sure, part of the fun of making clothes for someone is getting to see them in them. But...
Amazing. Anyway, what were you going to say about 4 Ultimate, by the way?
Sorry, I just...
You're fine. Right. Oh. Oh. Yeah, that was such a boring set, Star Knight. And the thing that made it boring is that it wasn't even, like, top tier. It was just a full set of armor. It's because it was easy to get, and it was effective. And because of that, people thought everybody should use it. Yeah.
Oh no!
What is really impressive about that set, though, is that it can help actually still having somebody using that, even though, like, even in the max level quests, even though it's not an optimal set, it's still it's a good lockdown set still, just because of how powerful Insect Glaive was. Yeah. Oh, I hated that by the end of the game. It's so bad. I thought it looks ugly.
Oh, God.
Doesn't do what I want it to.
It just got worse.
It's ugly.
It just continues to get worse. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh.
See, the thing is, I like good-looking armor, so I think you can understand why I don't like Seregios. It's so spiky and tan.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm very aware. I've been part of it for like 3 or 4 times, and each and every time you're like, so I don't know if you know.
But, like, really, though, I think it's ugly only because you can't even change the color on it, really. The color change effect only changes, like, 2 stripes on it. And then it's purple and tan. Oh, boy. Color is a part of how it looks, to be fair. Matching color is very important.
Customization process is very good.
I'm just saying that you could have 3 pieces of armor all not be from the same thing, and then they might not look well. They might not look good together, but you change all of them to green, and all of a sudden they fit. You can't do that with Regios, because you change 2 lines on any piece. It doesn't fit with anything. And I mix sets, so... Yeah, Yeah, well, I ran that thing for a long time at G-Rank, and got very tired of it very fast. But also the skills weren't ones that I enjoyed.
Oh, that's funny.
Looks and effects.
I just
Razor
realized
Sharp is
one of the enemies in this area is actually named Apophis.
Hey. There you go. A callback from earlier.
Yeah, literally just talking about that earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I got tired of the looks and what it did. The effect is nice, but... yeah. What about it? Just how strong it was, or... I was strong in 4 Ultimate too, but... I thought it did in 4 Ultimate as well. I thought that they introduced it in 4 Ultimate, but the thing is, at the same time, you're generally sets that run that, and not every set, because if you get the right charm. But generally sets that did that were ones that had less armor, or were earlier in the game so you couldn't wear them and take full advantage of defense, you know? Because Nargacuga, while it had evasion and evade up and stuff, it wasn't an endgame set by the endgame, like... But you could still use it because it gave you iframes. There's probably some, I would agree. But again, then you're also giving up a ton of offensive skills if you're going 20 points into that. Whereas killing a monster faster is just as good as evading a monster. Yeah. Spoils? Yeah, but I mean... I get what you're saying, because you could say it's a handicap or something. Yeah. 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 It does, but at the same time it's like... Some people like iframes, and not having to adjust or having that many iframes can be really nice. Even if it does seem a little cheeky. Again, people call it, you know, a crutch. You know, they call it a crutch. Well, you're saying they relied on it. With this service, yeah. Disfavored, I understood. It's the same idea. You're playing the game in a completely different way. Oh, I died to a Bagman, right? I forgot. You're playing a game in a completely different way than generally what the game is built around. So it's gonna be different and probably advantageous to you. Because the game is built around having the little iframes. See, I never fought him. Because I played Generations. I played Generations Ultimate, but not a lot of Generations. Or, I said that backwards. I heard of it, but... Yeah, but... It's not... What was that thing? It started with a G, it was the ice one. That one looked cool. It's been too long since. Gammoth, thank you. Yeah, I liked Gammoth. I wasn't a big fan of Mizutsume. No, actually I don't. It's annoying. It jumps around all the time, and it has an annoying status effect. I would say. Fire just rolls 3 times. If you roll 3 times with bubbles, you get punished. It's the exact opposite. You could say even they're opposites. Yeah. To be fair, most of the monsters that use fire are monsters I would prefer. I think is a big part of it. Besides Rathalos, Rathalos is trash, but. Yeah. He was good at that. Grab ya. Oh, I thought I just called him grabs. Yeah, I know what you mean. Where he's like eating you. Yeah, grab makes sense. Yeah. I just wasn't a big fan of Rathalos, but I never have been, and he's the flagship of the entire series.
Well, he was also the introduction.
He was. How? I could never understand. What? Rathian? Wait, didn't you say you prefer Rathalos? Rathian's a green one. Female. Gold Rathian.
He's like, 1 sec, I have the dumb.
Rathian is cool. Rathalos is lame. See? And there's how you make your decision. Are you cool or are you lame? It's that easy. Yeah, you just misnamed them once. That's okay. Oh, time to get shredded by dogs.
Me sitting over here with like my sub 40 hours of Monster Hunter for you, like, oh come on.
Back, I had more time back when I played for Ultimate. I had a lot of free time.
I had a lot of time put into the original back on PlayStation 2.
Oh, the one that uses the stick to attack?
Yes, sir.
I am so sorry.
I know.
That first one was hit.
So, like, when I played Try, I was like, well, this is weird.
Groundbreaking. I can swing
like,
the controller.
I loved it, but at the same...
But yeah.
I don't think fantastic was a good word for it. It was definitely unique and it was very different. However, I am very understanding as to why they ditched it. Like, because I enjoyed it. I did. However, my anxiety was also at... Oh my gosh, it was so high. It was so terrible.
I will say, though, it'll be sad to never see Sea of Days again.
Ambiance. Ambiance.
You know...
Dude, okay, so... I didn't know, like, what the different creatures were called. And so I boot up... 1 sec. Yeah. So,
I was actually about to bring that up, but...
And I think that's the first time I, like, started realizing it. Was...
You know...
That first time swimming out into that big open water, and it starts the cutscene with Lagiacrus swimming at you, and I could just feel my heart in my throat.
Yeah. I remember, actually, sorry, I was going to bring that up, actually, not that you have a fear of it, but, you know, that I have a fear of the ocean, but that surprisingly, 3 Ultimate never did that to me. Like, I never had that feeling, which really surprises me from how much I'm put off from games like Subnautica or anything like that. I know it's a very different scale, but, I mean, I don't know if you remember or if you ever watched me play Sekiro, but, there's a section where you go... No, you're fine. What were you saying? You're fine. Yeah.
Oh, I get
But,
that, but the fact that the zone that you're in at that point literally has no bit of land for you to retreat to.
mhm.
You're just there in the water, and there's this giant...
The sea
Yeah.
monster, really, yeah. No, but,
You know, and now that I've played
Sekiro
it
really
multiple
hit me
times,
with
and I was more familiar with the... But it was the unknown. It was, what am I
Oh, yeah.
getting myself into? And, yeah, the anxiety was... Whew.
Yeah, that's what I was like. With Sekiro was one that really got me because, I mean, it was just a big carp, but they show it. But before they even showed it, it's I jumped into the water in that place. I got zapped by lightning out of nowhere, so that doesn't help. I can't see what's attacking me, and then there's a big fish somewhere in the water. I'm like, I hate this. I never want to be here. Even on stream, I was resistant. Gobule, as some people say. I don't, but not me. But some people say that.
I liked Gobble. Gobble or Gobble? Gobble
Yeah,
was
you see,
fun.
I was gonna say Gobble makes sense because Gobble, it eats everything.